If you walk through large parts of this coastal megacity, you'll see people carrying water by hand just to get through the week. This is Karachi. It's home to over 20 million people, and it serves as the unquestioned financial capital of Pakistan. It is a massive economic engine. This single city hosts the country's largest port and generates roughly a quarter of Pakistan's entire GDP. Despite its massive output, the richest urban center in the nation is crumbling, starved of basic resources by decades of policy choices that prioritize the national budget over the city's own streets. This chart shows the gap between what Karachi produces and what it keeps. The city generates the overwhelming majority of the country's customs, corporate, and income taxes, but look at what actually gets reinvested back into its development and infrastructure budget. Despite funding the national budget, Karachi consistently ranks near the very bottom when it comes to visible public services. To understand why a city that creates so much wealth receives a fraction of it back, we have to look at how it's governed and who actually controls the money. Local governance experts describe Karachi's administration as a maze without a single empowered mayor. Instead, the map is fractured. The Sindh government, municipal corporations, cantonment boards, and utility providers all hold overlapping pieces of the puzzle. Everyone claims partial jurisdiction, but nobody holds the comprehensive power required to fix the crumbling roads or the failing water grids. This creates what researchers call a governance vacuum. It is a system where responsibility is spread so thin that when a road collapses or the water runs dry, there is no single agency with the power to fix it, or the mandate to answer for the failure. This lack of accountability feeds into one of the most volatile grievances in Pakistani politics: ethnicity. Karachi is incredibly diverse, home to Mohajir, Sindhi, Pashtun, Punjabi, and Baloch communities, with no single group holding a majority. But the provincial power in Sindh, which dictates land allocation, policing, and development in Karachi, has been dominated for decades by the Pakistan People's Party, a group whose political base draws heavily from rural Sindhi landowners. This created deep friction. In the 1970s, quota systems reserved government jobs and university seats along urban and rural lines. For Karachi's urban Mohajir population, the descendants of migrants from India, this felt like targeted exclusion, eventually sparking the violent rise of the MQM party. The resulting narrative is that the urban population doing the economic heavy lifting gets systematically outvoted and under-resourced by a rural-focused provincial government. But demographics reveal that framing this as Sindhis versus Karachi doesn't hold up. Ethnic Sindhis make up under 10% of Karachi's population. The grievance points to provincial political power, not the city's ethnic makeup, and researchers spread the blame much wider. The MQM itself spent decades operating extortion networks that hollowed out the city's institutions from the inside, while federal and military-backed governments routinely used these ethnic tensions as a tool of political control. It is a massive, multi-party institutional failure. Ethnicity is simply the wedge used to maintain control over the wealth. At ground level, you clearly see where the limited infrastructure money flows. It concentrates in upscale areas like Clifton and Defense Housing Authority. These are semi-autonomous, cantonment-run neighborhoods. They maintain their own private roads, security, and services, totally insulated from the dysfunction surrounding them. Just a few miles away, working-class districts like Liari and Orangi Town suffer from overloaded electricity grids, inconsistent water supply, and virtually zero modern infrastructure. In these neglected neighborhoods, the state barely exists past a basic police checkpoint. This neglect is physical. Streets are narrow, unpaved, unlit, and frequently flooded. That physical layout makes effective police patrols nearly impossible. It creates blind spots where street crime, gang activity, and informal extortion networks easily step in to fill the power vacuum. This chart traces the resulting death spiral. Weak state infrastructure invites crime. Crime scares off the business investment that could have funded better roads and power lines, and the area falls further behind. The wealth gap, the unchecked crime, and the failing grid are the visible consequences of a system that treats a megacity purely as a resource to extract from, rather than a place to invest in. A city generating a quarter of a nation's economy deserves better than services that stop at the edge of the wealthy neighborhoods.